Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Football Focus SG podcast with myself, Faiz, Harun Nafi, and Mr. GB. Welcome back, you guys. It's been a while. So, how you guys has been after 2 to 3 weeks, I believe, that we are away. Harun how you been?
Yeah, I've been good. It's been some time since we did this. A lot to talk about, and looking forward to discussing it with you guys.
Yeah, Mr. GB, yourself. How has football been treating you for the past 2 3 weeks?
Well, football's been a roller coaster, but to be honest, yeah, it's been a while since we to get together, and yeah, it's nice to get back again, and can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, this is something that I think we all like. Just talk about football for like just a few minutes or maybe an hour or two and just pretty much watch football, right? So for today, we just want to focus more on the Singapore Premier League itself. As we all know, that Singapore Premier League is coming to a close. The season is coming to a close. There are only few matches left. So we're gonna go through a couple of matches, highlight a few main key matches that are going on, and we're gonna see what our fellow pundits here, Harun and Mr. JB, uh, have thoughts about for this rest of the season. So, of course, we're gonna have to talk about the the biggest match of all, the Lion City Sailors versus Albirex. Now, in the previous episode, we did talk about it. That Harun called it is a match to decide who wins. Like, if anybody wins that match, they win the title. Which, of course, he ended up in a very entertaining draw in a way where Albirex scored in the stoppage time. And then subsequently, Albirex draw against with Tampines. And now, looking at the table, as of now that we are recording, Lion City Sailors is above of Albirex only via goal difference. I'm gonna start with you first, Harun Nazri. Were you surprised that the match ended up in a draw in the first place, or were you actually thinking that Lion City Sailors could have won it?
Watching the match itself, I thought Lion City Sailors could have sealed the match off, but you know, coming to the end of the match, it was shaky for them. I believe, if I recall, it was shaky, and you could sense that a goal was coming for Albrecht. The way that things were going, coming towards the end of the match.
Yeah.
And yeah, it happened. Albrecht scored, and we and the feeling that I got from subsequent matches after that one was, you know, I felt that if Lion City Sailors would have won that match, I think they would have gone on to lose a couple of matches actually from the way that they performed against Albrecht. So I think in a way, that match in a way helped them, because by drawing with Albrecht, they need to push on to get results subsequent matches, and look where they are now. One match to go, level on points, leading by goal difference. So it makes for a pretty exciting last day of the season again, the one that we had last season as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's down to the wire. And Mr. JB, what about you? I mean, you are turning into a LCS supporter yourself. I mean, you are already. Were you actually disappointed with Lion City Sailors not able to win that match? And then, of course, we know subsequently they draw with Tampines, which we're gonna get onto a little bit. But the key match, the big match that everyone was talking about, was that match alone. And the fact that that match alone cannot decide who wins. So what do you think then? Like, who has the upper hand between these two?
Well, I think I did mention in the past that yes, I'm an LCS fan, but I still feel that this season LBX kind of have the edge lah, over Lion City Sailors, because before the actual fixture that you mentioned, Lion City Sailors is kind of like a roller coaster kind of result, like one good performance and then the next game, they'll probably have a draw or continue dropping points and then, go back on a high again.
Yeah.
And then there are matches where, they have to grind it out. And unfortunately for them, the match against Albirex, they really have to grind it out. And if I recall that match correctly, I would have to say that LCS have a lot of chances that they didn't capitalize on.
Yeah.
And being football, if you don't take your chances, you'll be punished, and rightfully so. I was quite confident also that they will get a win, but I mean, with the scoreline being 1-0 and LB Rex, who's known for not giving up all the way to the final whistle. I mean, props to them, and they managed to pull one back, which is disappointing for LCS, but I feel that it's a fair result overall if you look at it. And yes, and I agree with Harun Nazri when he mentioned about actually this match is actually the turning point to a string of good performances put up by Lion City Sailors. Some clubs, I believe, they do need some form of pressure, to perform. They need some setbacks to come back. So yeah, I do feel that it is slowly turning into a blessing in disguise with that draw game with LB Rex. But nevertheless, I would say still that it's gonna be very, very close to the wire. But I don't know, man. It's really a tough league to predict, as I mentioned in the past few episodes. So I'm really excited for this one,
It is
especially the
exciting to
curtain end.
see,
Yeah.
but of course, with Lion City Sailors now ahead by 4 goals after a few of very interesting results that we have seen. But we're going to take a look a bit on their last game fixtures. Lion City Sailors will be up against Ballistic, who has an extra 2 games in hand before their final game. And Albirex will be facing Tanjung Pagar. So, Mr. JB, like what I mentioned earlier for the fixture, like Lion City Sailors against Balestier, Tanjung Pagar against Albirex, do you actually see any one of these teams, Tanjung Pagar or Balestier, to cause an upset on one of these teams?
Wow. I think, to be honest, Balestier not so much. I mean, I understand they have a setback, with the recent COVID cases and everything else. So that's why their matches are kind of piled up. They are gonna play like I think 3
like two,
games
three
in.
matches in about 2 weeks, 1 or 2 weeks.
Exactly. No, I think if I'm not wrong, it's 3 games in a week.
But yeah,
I
it's 3 games.
think they're playing this
3 games.
Sunday. Yeah, so I think not so easy for them. I would expect Tanjung Pagar to I wouldn't say do us a favor, but I would say Tanjung Pagar has been on the better. I would say they've been faring much better after the COVID restart. So I do feel that they might pull off a surprise for us, hopefully, for Tanjung Pagar. For Balestier, not so much. Yeah.
Well, Harun Nazri, would you agree? I mean, considering the fact that Tanjung Pagar was the first team to actually win Albirex this season. So do you think they can cause another upset in this final game?
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with Mr. JB there. I don't see Balestier posing much of a threat to Lion City Sailors, but then again, the ball is round, anything can happen in football. But if we were to compare between Balestier Khalsa and Tanjung Pagar United, I think Tanjung Pagar has had a better season overall. And like you mentioned yourself, Tanjung Pagar was the first team to cause an upset to Albrechts. And this Tanjung Pagar team has a fight in them. They have fighting players. They have players who are willing to go out there and fight. They're not going to play for, they're not going to try and spoil market for Albrechts. They're going to go out there and play for themselves. Knowing the players, knowing the way that they are, the team, the way that the team has been molded by Noah Lamshah and Coach Hasrin as well.
Yeah.
They are fighters, they are warriors. They are going to go out there and they're going to try and get the win, like what we've seen from the first game of the season till the end. Every match, they're always in the match. They're always fighting, except for 1 or 2 matches, odd performances. But yeah, I have to agree with Mr. JB there. I think comparing Balestier and Tanjung Pagar, I think Tanjung Pagar would cause much of a more upset towards Albrechts as compared to Balestier towards Lion City Sailors. So yeah.
All right. Just gonna move on a little bit to another key match to why we have this title race down to the wire, which is Albirex drawing 0-0 against Tampines. And we can see the jubilant in Tampines fans and the players themselves at a crucial point, because not only they kind of stop Albirex from winning, but at the same time they stop themselves from losing. And also with that point, it kind of secures them to permanently for no ups, no downs towards the end, Now, I want to touch a bit on Tampines here because for the past few weeks, there has been ridiculous results of Tampines Rovers, to say the least. And I want to go with you first, Arunaji, for this. What exactly happened? I really want to know what exactly happened to them after the COVID restart, because I think ever since the restart, they have not won a single game other than one match against Young Lions, 2-1, which is about 2 weeks ago, I believe. But other than that, they lost 5-2 to Ballistic after the international break, lost 3-1 in the Eastern Derby with Geylang, lost 7-3 with Hougang, lost 6-1 to Line City Sailors. So, what is going on with Tampines? Because before the international break, they are contention title race. They are in the title race. But for them to pick up just one win after 5 to 6 matches, what went wrong? Is it the manager, players? Share with us. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, I cannot pinpoint exactly what went wrong. I'm not there. I'm not part of the team. I'm not part of the coaching staff.
Yeah.
But from the
fan perspective,
outside,
what do you see?
from the outside, from a person that watches the SPL, I think it's easy to say that the Champions League was the biggest downfall. Going abroad to play in the Champions League was a bit of, no, I won't say a bit too much of a task for them, I believe, because it derailed the whole season for them. But I want to take it back to at the very beginning, losing players such as Jordan Webb, which I don't think they replaced well, losing Amirul Adli, the center back, to
Yeah.
Line Sailors.
Yeah.
Losing Amirul Adli, centre back, I don't think they replaced him well as well. Losing Shadan also, I believe, this season. Last season he was playing for Rovers, right?
Yeah, last
Correct me if
season
I'm
was playing
wrong.
for now he's a line.
Yeah, last season playing for Rovers, this season playing for Leicester Sailors, not replacing Shadan. So I believe these three, you go to any other side with these players in the squad, and if they go out from those squads, it's a big problem. And testament to these players, when they left Tampines, things went downhill. Whatever people are saying about Tampines, budget constraints and whatever, they're trying to save money, they're trying to develop youth. But at the end of the day, these are stalwarts of your team. These are important players for your team. And if you don't replace them well, it's going to be a big task. Yes. And then we go on to the second phase. They started off the season well. I agree. But still, even though they started the season well, the way I look at it, the football that was played, the football that they were trying to play, it's not the same football as what we saw last season or 2 seasons ago. This season, I don't see Erwan Shah bombing down the left, making himself available from a third man running perspective. I don't see that at all this season. Maybe there's a shift in playing pattern from Coach Gavin. But, the spark is just not there for Tampines, I feel. The spark is just not there. The style of play, people want to talk about playing out from the back and whatnot. But, if you don't replace key players from your squad, it's going to be a big task. And then you go on to Champions League. Let's not talk about the results. Everybody know the results as it is. At the end of the day, it's your first time playing in the Asian Champions League. It's the first time Tampines is playing in the Asian Champions League. Did they put out a good did they put out a good performance? I feel it's neither here nor there. Good performances, whatever. If the results are as such, you can ask Coach Gavin. He would say, but our performance was not bad. We were trying to play our football. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, football results is what matters most. At the end of the day, you go out there, you get the results. You get whatever scoreline goes against you. You have to answer for them. And then you come back, COVID situation, they got quarantine, blah, blah, blah. And then they went on the downfall. A lot of things could have happened. Players missing their family for over 2 months, I believe they were away from their family. Not being able to train well, having the bad results from the Asian Champions League in each of the players' minds, having to stand up to Singapore, to Singaporean football fans, trying to prove their worth, trying to prove the naysayers wrong. I think I even mentioned that I was urging them on to prove everyone wrong. For players, from a psychological standpoint, all this plays in their mind. Even for Coach Gavin, I believe it plays in their mind. But from a coaching perspective, I believe he's going to go through it one game at a time. That's the best that he can do. And then with all the nonsense going behind, all the nonsense behind stuff, all the behind the scenes stuff, which I don't want to mention, or all this nonsense. To sum it all up, I think I've said a lot about this already. To sum it all up, I think Tampines is it pains me to say this, and I'm not one to say this out loud, but it's been a disappointing season for Tampines. Very disappointed with the whole debacle that happened this season for them. So yeah.
Yeah, it is. Mr. JB, over to you. Would you agree that, missing key players and all that? And speaking about missing key players, as of tonight that we are recording, another player from Tampines Rovers is going to leave at the end of the season, and that's Armin Bosniak. He has announced on his Instagram that he is leaving, and he just thanked the team and the players and the management for giving the opportunity. So, of course, for Armin Bosniak, all the best to him as well. But
do we know where he's going, Faiz? Do we know where he's going?
He's not mentioned, actually. It's not mentioned, but it's
See,
all known
another one.
Yeah, another one. So my question to you, Mr. JB, where is Tampines going to go from here? For a team with prestige of winning SPLs, a lot of titles, this seems like a major step back right now. And collecting just 3 points since before the international break and the COVID break, it's a worrying sign, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I agree most of the points that Harun Nazri pointed out. If you look at it holistically, if you compare where Tampines is last season, I believe they were runner-ups, right?
Yeah.
They were also close to winning the SPL, So for them, if you were to just compare then and now, you can see what kind of a disappointing season that they're having right now. Yes, you can put the blame on COVID, the AFC Champions League and all these. But at the end of the day, it's not been easy for everyone. And if you just look at just based on football perspective, just by itself, from fan perspective, you have to agree that, if you sell off your best players, you don't replace your players, it's not going to end up very well for you, especially if the replacement is, isn't there yet, or I would say is unable to fill up those big shoes that are missing, you see. Players like Shadan, and I believe last season, I think they lost Jordan Webb as well.
Yeah, but they still have Zerudin Mehmedovic. They still have there was another guy, Boris Kopitovic.
Yeah, Boris. Yeah, those are players too, But at the end of the day, it's different style, It's the way you play, the system that the coach is trying to achieve at the end of the day. So yeah, if you just look at that, then it doesn't reflect so good on Tampines at the moment.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Boris is, I think, their top scorer, I think, for this season. So
Tampines is their top scorer.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't say that he doesn't do too well or anything like that. But of course, if you compare with the rest of the SPL clubs, all the foreign talents that they're having at the moment, well, it's kind of like a mixed bag, There's like hits and misses kind of performance. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you look at it holistically, I'm not too sure whether it's tactical wise or player wise there's a problem in Tampines, but I really feel that there's more going on, other than the tactics and the players.
The unrest camp, isn't it? It's an unhappy camp.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, I don't know if it's unhappiness or just something in right, because that kind of downfall, it's really massive. You can pinpoint on the players' mentality and all that, probably preparation, or you can say 1,001 things, but for you to to fall down, this is not falling down. This is literally stumbling down and rolling down and continue on rolling until you get Young Lions, and then you manage to pull out, a win, and that is also not so, it's not a convincing kind of victory. And then you manage to get a draw against Albirex, and you celebrate it as though it's a big thing.
It is.
Yes, yeah. So to me personally, as a fan, it really doesn't look so good for Tampines, really. I mean, for you to be all happy about the result. I mean, yes, in football you go for
I mean,
results,
it's
but
not
if you
kind of
look at
like
it,
how, Liverpool celebrated a draw with West Brom and Jurgen Klopp just celebrate with the players.
yeah,
But,
man. I mean,
but for
it's
Tampines,
almost,
well, because they can't really do that, I guess. But it's what
yeah.
it
I
is.
mean, it doesn't look good, and that last big defeat that they got against Lion City Sailors. I mean, I think what they've considered like
It was 6-1.
I'm not sure how many goals in total that they concede, just for this season. I think I would like to take a look at that figure, but I believe
I
it's
can
somewhere around
look up for you
40.
right now because I'm actually looking at the table. So,
Yeah, but it's
like
probably some.
Tampines conceded actually. Oh wow, okay. Tampines conceded more than Young Lions this season, and
There
Young
you go.
Lions is last right now. So that kind of says a lot. But
There you go.
surprisingly,
Yeah,
Tampines did not concede the most this season. I'll let you guys
yeah.
to make a guess who conceded the most this season. So
Okay. That'll be an interesting topic to see who conceded the most. But yeah, you see, so at the end of the day, there's so many problems in there, from the back line to their attacking line. I really hope that they brush themselves off and come on next season, because to be honest, as what Harun Najee mentioned and yourself as well, they are title contenders. You know what I'm saying? They're supposed to be, you know, amongst there, and they drop so many points. They make all the other teams look good. Even Young Lions look good with despite losing against them. So yeah,
that's
man,
true.
a lot of problems in Tampines. That's all I can say, man.
Yeah. Just want to
Disappointing.
touch a little bit more about Tampines before we move on. Harun Nazi, back to you again. Um, from coaching perspective, if you're going through in such a downfall like this, with this kind of pressure that's going on, share with us a bit, like what would you do? Like, I know you did mention a little bit, like Gavin, only hope and choice right now is to take it game by game. I can understand that, taking game by game. But if you look at it, ever since the start and when it's taken game by game, it does not really seem to show much improvement because, yes, you may lose a freak 5-goal concede against Ballistic, that's fine. You lost 3-1 to Geylang in Eastern Derby, that's fine. But 7-3 Hougang, 6-1 Lion City Sailors, the list kind of go on. Yes, I know scoreline maybe a little bit too much to talk about because at the end of the day, it's still just 3 points for the opponent. But this kind of scoreline just kind of flatters the opponent more, and this just kind of adds a pressure more for your team. So, from coaching perspective, what would you do if you're in this situation? How do you stop the
Okay,
momentum?
Faiz, I correct you for one bit.
Okay,
It's Tampines. We are talking about Tampines Rovers.
okay.
Losing 3-1 against Geylang is not okay. Losing
Yeah.
5-1 against Balestier is not okay.
I mean, I'm trying to close one eye, but as much as I could, but I can't.
Okay,
I cannot cover
I understand. I understand. But you see, from my standpoint, look, last year they were runners-up in the league. Look, I got nothing against Coach Gavin. I got nothing against Tampines Rovers' players. I'm just speaking facts. I'm just speaking. I might be going back against during my time as a player. We are Tampines Rovers. The old Tampines Stadium was a fortress. Everyone that steps into Tampines Stadium scared. They know for us players playing for Tampines Rovers, whenever a team steps into Tampines Stadium, the old stadium, we feel that they knew you're not going to get anything out from this stadium. So that's why that was where I was coming from. Losing to Geylang 3-1 is not okay. It's the Eastern Derby. Losing 5-1 to Ballistic is not okay. Losing how many goals to Lion City Sailors is not
6-1,
okay.
yeah.
And
7-3 to Hougang. Yeah.
Right. 7-3 Hougang is not okay. So now back to the question. From a coaching perspective, look, I'm not at that level yet. I'm not at the senior level. For now, I don't repeat their matches. I think only the last 2 matches that Tampines Rovers play, I'm not too sure again. So I think Albrechts and one more, you might add in for me there later, Faiz, the game that they played before Albrechts.
It was Young Lions where they won.
Young Lions. So they have 2 positive results against Young Lions, 2-1 they won, drew against Albrechts. And I think I mentioned with you all also that this was the 2 matches that they changed a little bit of their system. I won't go into details what exactly they changed. They were still trying to play their football, but the small intricate details they tried to change. What they did, I have to go through the videos again. I'm not too sure, but there were changes. I even spoke to some of the senior coaches out there. You know, Tampines is the talk of the town, so everyone is talking about this. So from a coaching perspective, if from my take, this is me, I got nothing against Coach Gavin again. I say he understands the players more. He works with them on a daily basis. He knows what is needed. He has his own style of play. He has his own philosophy, whatever. If it's me, if I know that my style of play is not working, I have to tweak it. You know, I don't, at the end of the day, football is not for the coaches. Football is for the players. Our job is to coach the players to their strength and to their ability. This is my take on it. At the end of the day, if I feel that, look, stats don't lie, results don't lie. If you've been trying to do something and it's not working once, okay, you can do it again the next time. Twice, maybe still okay, you can maintain the same thing. But if it happens 3 times on the trot, something is not right. You have to relook, you have to rethink, you have to redo something. You have to restart from somewhere. And I think maybe that realization from Coach Gavin, you know, from a coaching perspective, I believe he knows things were not going well for him the first or second match after they came back from the ACL. I know he knows that for sure, but he chose to believe in the players. He chose to believe that the players can still execute the stuff that he wants. He chose to believe that these players have the ability to do that. So good on Coach Gavin. You believe in your players, you trust in your players. But then there must come a point, there must come a point where you have to hold it back and say, look guys, it's not working. We have to tweak it a little bit here and there. Let's try to do something different. And I think I spoke to some of y'all also. You guys, I think, you have to change the perspective. If building out from the back, I'm not saying Tampines building out from the back is not working. I think they conceded 1 or 2 goals from there. I believe one of the goals was from the Hougang match as well. Apparent. Yeah. Everyone could see it. This is just an example. If you think that playing out from the back is not helping, what's the purpose of playing out from the back? Playing out from the back, you want to attract the pressure, you want to bring the opponents up close to you, and then you find your way out. Last season, they could do that because they have Shadan. Shadan is their playmaker. Shadan is the one that starts the play. But this season, they brought in Iman Hakim to replace Shadan in a way. But Iman doesn't start as much. Then you put Kyoga and Mehmedovic, sorry for me pronouncing his name wrong. You bring them closer to the defense line to pick up the ball and play. They're not that kind of players.
Yeah.
They're not the playmaker from deep. They're not the deep line playmaker. They're not. So you already restrict them of one of their ability. That's one. So this is why I go back to the point I made earlier. They did not replace. Okay, fair enough. Coach Gavin can say, do under 23 players, man. We have to fill under 23 players. There's not enough good players above the age of 23. Fine. Let's see next season. Next season, it's already confirmed, only 1 under 23 players. I want to see, end of this season, who they bring into the club. I'll be very interested to see who they bring in. Who can replace Shadan? Who can replace Amirul? Who can replace Jordan Webb? Because they did not replace. And now, Amin Bosniak leaving. Who's going to replace Amin Bosniak? And I don't think Amin was utilized greatly as well this season.
No, I don't think he actually featured much.
Yeah, do you remember? You remember the game before the national team went on their first, not the recent one, the first national team call-up when Idraki was flying for Hougang.
Yeah.
This recent call-up,
before his injury. Yeah.
Before his injury, I watched a Tampines Rovers match, and Amin Bosniak was tearing everyone apart. He was playing the top of his game, but throughout the whole season, we only saw that once. From my perspective, I only saw that once. I want to see every match, and he has the potential to do that. He can do it. We've seen it before, but why are we not seeing it more and more? Why are we not seeing it on a consistent basis? Is it because the coach doesn't want him to do what he does? Is it because the coach is not utilizing him well? all these questions come into mind. So look, Coach Gavin, nothing against you. You know your players. You have your style of play. But from me as an outsider, the way I look at it, if things are not going, you have to, of course, I'm not at that position now. I have never been in that higher position as of yet. But look, kudos to you, Coach Gavin. You trust your players. Your fans believe in you. If your players believe in you, great, by all means. But, we from the outside, this is just my opinion. From the biggest takeaway from me, if you know that something is not working, put our feelings aside, put our philosophy aside, do something for the betterment of the team, grind out result. There's no harm in pumping the ball long, getting Boris to hold up play, bring your center midfield or your attacking players, attacking midfielders or Kyoga, Memonovic closer to Boris, link it up from there. Who knows what can happen, yeah?
So moving on now to another club. Basically the club that's gonna face Tampines in the final match of the season, which is another Eastern derby, Geylang International. So I'm gonna start with Mr. JB first for this. Geylang International, we spoke about it few episodes back. Ever since after the international break, they were flying. They were scoring 3 goals, they were winning 3-0, 3-1s, and etc. And then there's a bit of a dip. they went down in a dip, losing to Lion City Sailors, losing to Albirex, and a surprise loss to Young Lions, which now puts them in number 7, just above Young Lions by 3 points. Now, before Geylang was in this position, Geylang was, I believe it was 5th, just below Tampines, they were 5th. And now they drop a 7 with just 3 points gap above Young Lions. And with a 1 match to go, what do you think about Geylang as season as a whole? What do you think for them? Is this a really disappointing season? Could have been better? Or is this just one hard season due to, COVID, a lot of stuff happening, and etc.?
Geylang is another one of those teams where, it's almost like a roller coaster if you think about it, right? It's like at one moment on a high and then it came crashing down and then it keeps on like crashing down over and over. So to me, Geylang is a bit of a mixed bag. Of course, if you just look at it across the board, they don't really have the players that others may have, lah. To be honest, I think let us be fair on that point there. They do try to bring in reinforcements, somewhere in the middle of the season and all that. But
especially
unfortunately,
the new keeper, Zaiful Nizam.
Yeah, that's right. They bring Zaiful Nizam, and I believe they brought a defender, right? A senior defender. I can't recall his name.
Yeah.
So basically, they do have some form of reinforcement here and there, but I mean, to be honest, their performance has not been up to par, I would say. I would expect more fight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, results is results, right? At the end of the day, results.
Yeah.
But one thing that really kind of put me off is the recent post-match interview by Coach Noah Ali after the 3-0 loss against Lion City Sailors.
Yeah.
He actually said that I don't actually recall what his exact words are, but he did mention something like along the line of like he's proud of the way his players played and all that. Like he's basically satisfied with their performance. I'm like, come on, man. I mean, of course, result aside and everything else, but come on, man, 3-0.
Yeah.
That's nothing to be so happy about. I mean, I understand as a coach, probably, perhaps Harun Nazri can touch on this. I believe, coaches have to go through some form of course or something to face the media, with tough questions and to, put a brave front for your boys or anything like that. But sometimes you have to be a realist.
Although, I did mention that Tampines was the second highest most conceded in the league. The first one is actually Geylang with 51 goals conceded this season and Tampines 50. And now both of them are going head to head in the final game of the season. Well,
There you go.
Nazri, you want to answer Mr. JV's question after conceding 51 goals? How would you answer? How would
I
you
mean, you
answer
know
to
what
the
I'm saying.
press?
We're talking about the Eastern Derby teams. Yeah, these two teams, I think, have more cups than any other of the clubs that is down there, other than LBRX, probably combined. Okay, Geylang and Tampines is known for this, right? But look at where we are. Both are conceding what 50 over goals. So yeah, so I
Technically,
leave it
with
to
these
the
two
expert.
technically with these two teams combined, it's over 100 goals. Just this
There you
team
go.
alone.
There you go. Over 100 goals. Over how many games? 42
Over
games,
20
right?
games.
Yeah, okay, about 40 games, all right? 20 games of
40
Tampines, 20 games
games,
against
100
Geylang.
goals conceded between these two. So it's
Man, I mean, I leave it to the expert Harun Nazri to answer this very, very difficult question. Like the stats are stats. So I don't know, man. It's crazy.
yeah. Well, Arunazir, you wanna answer? Like, how would you answer as a coach? Like what he said earlier. Like, Noah Ali was impressed with the performance. However, the result doesn't seem to justify whatever the performance that he's trying to say. Losing 3-0, but sure. And now they're currently just 3 points above Young Lions, who is last at the moment. And Geylang is not known to be finishing at the bottom for a very long time. So, what do you think, Arunazir?
Well, where should I start? Geylang, as you guys were talking just now, as Mr. JB was speaking just now, I actually thought about this. Except for the top four, which we expect to be there, Tampines and Geylang has been very disappointing this season. Young Lions and Ballistic, we expect their performances as such. Hougang, if it's not for the international break or whatever break, I'm not too sure, the one that happened when they came back, everything started crumbling. It was unlucky for them. Tanjung Pagar, we expected a fight, so we expected them to be where they are now, 5th position if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Then
Hougang?
we have Lions, Hougang start of the season brilliant, and then like what I mentioned earlier, during the international break, after that when the players came back, everything came crashing down. We had players injury here and there. It disrupted their momentum. They were the most unlucky to me. If that had not happened, if the season had just continued without any stoppages, I believe they could have challenged for the title, and I mentioned that at the earlier stages as well.
Yeah.
And Lions City Sailors and Albirex, we expect them to be at the very top. Now, to answer your question about Coach Noali's comments about him being proud of his players after a 3-0 defeat, look, from a coach's perspective first, of course, I understand why he says that. Of course, I understand why he made such a comment. He want to be with his players. He want to make sure that the players are still on his side. He wants to make sure that the players know that no matter what performances they put out there, he still believes in them, he still trusts them. Great. That's from a coaching perspective. Understandable. Now, from my perspective as a fan, as a football enthusiast, as someone who has been in the game before and now transitioning to coaching, I liken this to two top-level managers. Mr. JB will laugh at this. I will liken this to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with his style, and then I will liken it to against Jose Mourinho. Two complete opposites.
Yeah.
Now, what Coach Noali is doing with his post-match press conference, he's leaning towards Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah.
But without the excuses, right? Without the excuses.
Okay.
But Jose Mourinho, you know it. He says it how it is. If he feels he's disappointed with a so-and-so player, he says it how it is to make sure to try and get something out of the players. To, from the players' mentality, shit, this man just did this guy just say something about me, he's disappointed in me. Now let me try to prove a point. But now we're in a modern era. I'm not too sure whether there's a lot of players who react to that, because nowadays players are much more I don't know the word, but players are now much more, they're much more savvy. The warrior spirit in the players, I don't think it's there so much now. We don't get the Maldinis, we don't get the Puyols, we don't get the the fighter in them, the Tottis and all that. It's very rare for us to find that. The Roy Keanes especially, it's very hard for us to find these kind of players nowadays.
Yeah.
So I think Coach Noali he has his reasons for why he does that. But from a fan's perspective, I don't understand. 3-0, I think, and like I say, I understand that he's trying to make sure that the players are still on his side just by saying that. But from a fan's perspective, look, you just lost 3-0. Who did they lose again, Faiz? 3-0?
Lion City Sailors.
You lost 3-0 against Lion City Sailors.
Yep.
Look, I believe everyone expected a loss. Not
Yep.
from a player's perspective, from a fan's perspective, I believe everyone expected them to lose against Lion City Sailors. But no, if the performance was great, I'm sorry I didn't watch the match, so I'm not going to dive too much into the match. But if the performance was great, fair enough. But if the performance is bad, I don't think he should make such a comment. Maybe he could say, rather than say proud of his players, maybe he could say that, we tried to work on something in training, it didn't work out. We're going to go back to the drawing board, and we're going to try to do something to finish the season off well. That's all. But, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Jose Mourinho.
Mr. Jimmy, would you agree that Noah Ali is more like in between of the two of Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Very interesting. Very interesting
it is.
Examples given by Harun Nazri.
It is. I mean, you can see that Ole approach to his players is as such, being a little defensive, this kind of thing, being all, I don't know, I'm not even sure if the word protective is even, being used in the right term and the right way to use it right now in football. And I agree with what Harun Nazri mentioned. Nowadays, I believe the players are in a different era right now. Where the warrior spirit, the spirit of taking criticism in the open is not so accepting anymore. You know what I'm saying? Especially nowadays with, if you're talking about Europe context and all those high level footballers, right? It's like, it's as simple that, okay, you can criticize me on the open. Next season, I'll just tear up a contract. I'll do up a new contract. I'll let my agent do the talking for certain players. To do the negotiation. So I agree. There goes the warrior spirit and all that. But I think, I don't know. Just from a fan perspective, probably Coach Noali is probably thinking that losing 3-0 is not as bad as losing 8-0 from the last time that they met Lion City Sailors. Probably. Perhaps that's where it's probably coming from. So it's more like sometimes. At the end of the day, I'm just a fan. I'm not a coach. It's the same. Like, for example, if you handle this group of men, you kind of know how much they are capable of. Like how much is like, I would say how much is their limit lah. You know what I'm saying, at the end of the day. But for me personally, in football, as we always say, the ball is round. As a coach, you need to always try to bring out the best in your players. Even no matter how bad it is. So so for me to see actually Geylang even after the 8-0 loss against Lion City Sailors a few months back, I'm not sure if that's the highest defeat for this season, the scoreline probably.
We have a lot of crazy scores, but definitely, exactly. I think there's one of them.
So I think it's probably not so easy, to probably lift up the players' confidence, and all those things. It'll be difficult, coming into that game. The most recent one, where they lost 3-0, I'm sure some of the players who played in the 8-0 game will probably be like, like they're going to face the same team again, are we ready for it? And to be fair, I think, I'm not sure if it's this 3-0 defeat that I saw, was it the previous one, where there are some individual mistakes, from Geylang United players. I'm sorry, from Geylang International players. So, so sometimes, when the nerves get the better of you or something, in the moment of a game, things change lah. So probably, from a coach perspective, he probably sees that, because he works with them in training, and probably that's what he gets, from the training ground being put up on the match. Is just that, the scoreline just doesn't reflect it. So, probably that's how coaches work. So I do believe it's a very interesting thing to actually look into the coach's perspective, and I kind of like how Harun Nazri actually brought up the comparison between Mourinho and Ole, and I believe that it's only now, in the modern game, that you kind of get this kind of different personality where people kind of pay attention to. If it was during the Sir Alex era and all that, most managers are just, one tone, like just one dimensional. You don't even know them behind the scenes. They're not that colorful with the mic. Nobody even care about post-match conference. But right now, if you ask me, I think I watch more post-match conference from the coaches than pundits talking, because it's more interesting to know how they understand the game, how they break down the game, their emotions and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I believe it's a very, very interesting thing. So kudos for that comparison from Harun Nazri.
All right. Well, okay. Moving on to the pretty much the final things to talk about for today's episode. We're gonna play a little bit prediction, but a very straightforward prediction. Of course, there's another 2 matches coming up in SPL. I believe tomorrow is Geylang and Ballistic, and then Ballistic has to play another one maybe Hougang because of their matches in hand. But what we're gonna predict is the 4 matches of the final day of the season. Simple, just win, lose, or draw. Don't need exact scoreline. We're just gonna predict out of the 2. All right. So the first match that we're gonna go through is Hougang versus Young Lions. Now, Hougang versus Young Lions, of course, Young Lions has everything to prove. They are 3 points away to Geylang and Ballistic, I believe. Yeah, as of now, because Ballistic still got 2 matches, Geylang still have 1 match in hand. So they only have 1 match to go. Hougang is pretty much settled third. They are pretty much through to the AFC Cup, I believe. So I believe this match is just gonna be a bit of a kickabout, but I'm gonna predict Hougang to win. Harun Nazir, who's gonna win this match?
Same. I'm gonna go along with you. I think Hougang is gonna win the match as well.
Okay, Mr. JB, over to you. Hougang versus Young Lions.
Oh, I'm gonna go a bit bold here. I think Young Lions will probably get an upset. I'm not too sure whether they are able to do enough to get a victory. It'll be good if they can, but at the same time, I think they will want to get some point, from the match. So I would say perhaps a draw is more realistic for them. So I would probably lean more towards Young Lions for this one. They definitely have something to prove, and I really want them to finish off the season with a bang, because looking at the season holistically, I think they did very, very well. I mean, beyond my
of course, we're
expectation
gonna
from
try
a
to
fan.
keep an eye a little bit on this because we do have our previous guest member, not sure everybody know, Mr. Jeff, who claims that Young Lions only has one thing in common, and that's them being last. And right now, Geylang is slightly on the verge, so we're gonna keep an eye if anything happens. But if that were to happen, we're definitely gonna call him here. Actually, regardless, we're still gonna try calling. So moving on to the next match, which is the Singapore East Derby, Tampines versus Geylang, the battle of 2 of the most conceding teams in the league. Now, in the last match between these 2, Geylang won 3-1, and Tampines, no offense, they're just, even though they won with Young Lions and draw with Ballistic, for some reason, I don't see them performing well. For some reason, I don't see Geylang's gonna bounce back after losing 5-0, Ballistic 3-0 to Lion City Sailors. But I'm gonna put an entertaining draw. It's gonna be an entertaining draw. Mr. JB, over to you. Tampines versus Geylang East Derby.
This one. Geylang East Derby. Yeah, we usually will be looking forward to this kind of thing. At the end of the day, I don't think Tampines have enough, what it takes. And looking at the other updates that you've been giving, players already announcing, bye here and there. So even before the season end, I'm not sure if that's a pretty good move or not. But I think Geylang will be the one I feel that will get the maximum points of 3 points. They will definitely want to prove something.
So you
At
think
least
they
try
will
to
do a
finish.
back-to-back against Tampines for the East Derby?
Yeah, for sure. Because I think, they want to try and finish above Ballistic as well. Because at the moment they are the same points as Ballistic. So I feel that they would definitely want to do one up. So yeah, so my predicting is Geylang.
All right, Harunazi, over to you.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go the same with Faiz over here. I think I'm gonna go with a draw. I don't know whether the match is gonna be entertaining or not. We're speaking about the 2 most disappointing teams in the SPL this season. So
but normally, whenever these 2 fight, they always
it's gonna be high
produce.
scoring.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
no offense. It's kind of like watching Arsenal and Spurs. Both North London
Look,
are, to be fair, they're bad at the league at the moment. But whenever these two face together, you're gonna get an entertaining match, no matter what.
yeah, but look, from my perspective, from my point of view, I don't even care about the match already for between these two teams. Just get it out of the way. Just
Yes.
get it out of the way. Start focusing for next season. And I like the point that Mr. JB mentioned earlier about players, hinting or announcing them leaving the clubs. What's happening to football nowadays, I don't understand. There's so many nonsense happening behind the scenes. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a draw, get the match out of the way. I just want to focus on the title contenders.
All right. So now, speaking about title contenders, we're moving on to probably two of the biggest match of the SPL season so far. One of it, I'm gonna go first for this again. Tanjung Pagar versus Albirex Niigata. So it's gonna be a close encounter. No offense, I think Tanjung Pagar did perform well in the second half of the season. I would say they performed above average compared to what they did last season. Massive shout out to them, and massive shout out to like the coaches, the players. They really step up compared to last season, and they did warn Albirex before. The question is, can they do it again? So it's gonna be a close battle. But I'm still gonna have a feel that Albirex is gonna be so pumped, trying their best to win out. Especially this is a title race. I think Albirex is gonna win this one, but not by a lot. He's gonna win this one. Harunazi, over to you. Tanjung Pagar versus Albirex.
Look, I agree with you. I think Albirex is going to be so pumped up for the match. They're going to go all guns blazing. But I have a feeling in me that says Tanjung Pagar is going to need a result.
Really?
They're going to win. Yeah, I don't know why. But I think the fight in them, the Warrior, if we're talking about the fight and we're talking about the Warrior spirit, I think Tanjung Pagar with Farid as the captain, he's the one who's leading by example for Tanjung Pagar. You can hear him in the background screaming and encouraging his players on.
He's been stepping up this season for sure.
Yeah, and he's got a call back he's got a call up for the national team as well. Kudos to him. He's come a long way. So I think Tanjung Pagar is going to spoil the night or for the day for Albirex. I'm not going to predict any score, but I'm going to go for close margin win. And it's going to break Niigata's hearts. And, but I'm also going to say that there's going to be some red cards in the match. So, so I'm looking forward to the match.
Mr. JB, Tanjung Pagar versus Albirex.
Well, as much as I agree with Harun Nazri there, I would say the warrior spirit is with Tanjung Pagar, but I think Albirex will also come out guns a-blazing, and nothing short of 3 points for them will be at the back of everybody's minds. So I think to be fair, I'll go for a draw. I would say that Tanjung Pagar will put up a good fight and it will be a draw match. Yep.
All right. So we're definitely gonna look back into our prediction after the final match, of course. Because I have Albirex, Tanjung Pagar, and Mr. JB will draw. But now we final game, which is Lion City Sailors versus Ballistic Khalsa. Well, I mean, who am I to say, right? We all gotta cheer Lion City Sailors at this point, right? Of course, it is a final day. Everybody's gonna be pumped. But for some reason, I feel that it's gonna be a draw. Here's why. I'm not trying to say Albirex to win. Okay, I mean, based on my prediction, Albirex is to win the season. But here's why. Yes, I know Ballistic has to play 3 matches in 1 week. While that might be a little bit taxing on them, but at the same time, they are going to be a little bit much more match fitness are going to be much more sharp to them. I think it might be a draw. I just have a gut feel it might be a draw. No idea why. It could be either Ballistic doing well or Lion City Sailors choke, like how they did against Albirex in the key match. For some reason, I feel like they're going to choke again after seeing that match. So, Mr. JB, over to you. Lion City Sailors versus Ballistic.
Uh, well, I'm a bit disappointed you actually thought of a
I
draw.
mean, I really want Lion City Sailors to win the
I mean,
league,
come
but
on.
I just after
Huh?
watching against Albirex and they choke, something tells me they might choke again here. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, choke or not, yeah, you know what I'm
It
saying.
is an unpredictable season. We can't tell.
Of course. But at the end of the day, I feel that they have enough quality to try and get a win. I mean, I'm not saying that Balestier. I'm not,
I mean,
being all
Beres still like
disrespectful to
Simi
Balestier.
Zuzu, who is going up for
Yeah,
top scorer.
I mean, at the end of the day, Balestier have no problem scoring, but they have a problem defending. So I would still
True.
say Lion City Sailors will win it, but my gut feeling said there will be a pretty high scoreline, somewhere probably 4-3 or something. But
Wow.
but
You're
I still
predicting
feel that
scoreline, huh?
but I still feel that Lion City Sailors have enough to grind out the victory. And after that, we all know what happens after they get a win, and if Albirex gets a draw, that will be a beautiful moment, I would say. Yeah.
And then Harunazi, lastly, over to you.
Faiz, before that, can I just check where is the match going to be played at? Jalan Besar?
For which one? Lion City Sailors?
Yes, for Lions Sailors against Balestier. Is it Jalan Besar? It should
Uh,
be Jalan Besar, right? Final match of the season.
I'll check for you real quick.
Yeah.
Just hold on. Well,
It's not stated there.
doesn't seem to still be. Hold on. Let me just check. It's gonna be Jalan Besar.
Jalan Besar. Because I feel if it's going to be played at Tua Payoh, it's going to be a little bit difficult for Dynasty Sailors. But since it's going to be played at Jalan Besar Stadium, look, Dynasty Sailors is going to win the match for sure. I can
The trophy is
guarantee
gonna
that.
be there at Jalan Besar, and the party.
Yeah, the trophy is going to be there. They're going to win. But okay, I got two interesting facts. Number one, speaking about Balestier, Hazwan Halim, also Singapore International. He gets called up to the national team
Recent product.
squad. He could be the one to replace. I won't say replace. He could be the one to sign for Tampines Rovers. Playing in the middle of the park. Okay, that's it. Enough talking about Tampines Rovers. Second fact, I actually have this thing in mind. I don't know why I keep thinking about this. We know that Leicester Sailors is leading the league by 1 goal. Is that true? By
4
goal
goals.
difference. It's by 4 goals. By 4 goals difference. You just imagine if both of them win the match and then Albrecht score more in the final match than Leicester Sailors. That would make it really, really interesting, wouldn't it? But
Will people be like I don't know, Tanjong Pagar, what the hell are you doing, man?
yeah, man. All this might happen, but I believe in Tanjong Pagar. They're gonna put up a fight. Hopefully we don't get that situation, and then it's gonna be a downer for Leicester Sailors and for local football as a whole. Leicester Sailors against Balestier. Balestier, I believe this is their third match on the trot, correct? This should be their final match.
Yes.
A good point that Faiz brought up: 3 matches every 2 days or every 3 days. It would be beneficial for them, but it also can be a disaster for them because along the way players might get injured, players might be lethargic because there's not enough time to prepare for the match. Injuries might happen, players might be lethargic, players might be tired. It's crazy to play 3 matches in the span of 6 or 7 days. I never heard of before. Even top level coaches in the Premier League also complain about that. It's going to happen to them. It couldn't have come at the worst time, final day of the season, deciding the title in a way between Albrechts and Lions T Sailors. But I'm going to go with Lions T Sailors. They're going to make history. The first championship for their club as Lions T Sailors. First championship for Coach Kim. He's never been a champion before for the league. He's been a winner for the Asian Champions League, but never in the Korean League. I'm going to go with a win for Lions T Sailors.
All right. So it seems like everyone's going for party in Lion City Sailors. While for me, for some reason, I can picture Albirex carrying the trophy at Tanjong Pagar Stadium there. So, all right. So we have come to the end of this podcast. So firstly, I would like to say thank you guys so much for actually watching, listening, and just being here with us. Do like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below what you guys think. about our comments. Do you agree with us, Harun Nazir and Mr. JB? Thank you guys again so much. And of course, also apologies for any delays for the videos uploading. There has been a lot of things happening lately. So now comes to the quick question of the day for you guys. Just plain and simple. Who's gonna be first? Who's gonna be last of the SPL? So, did Mr. JB went out? I'm not too sure where.
Yeah, I think he accidentally left.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether he's joining the but okay. So I guess I'll just start first. Who's gonna win the SPL? My heart says LCS, but my gut says Albirex. But I'm just gonna go with my heart for now because he's fresh out the day with me. So I will say Lion City Sailors. And who will be last, which is either Ballistic, Geylang, or Young Lions mathematically. No offense, even though they did well compared to last season, I'm still gonna say Young Lions is gonna finish last. Harunaji, what about you?
For me, top position, Lions City Sailors. Bottom position, I'm gonna go with the same phrase as you. My heart says something else, my brain says something else. My heart says, my brain says Young Lions is gonna finish last, but my heart says Geylang is gonna finish last.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna go with the choice of my heart.
All right.
Never happened before. I don't think it has ever happened before. Geylang International finishing in last position. I'm not too sure. We have to check
I'm pretty
that.
sure at least second last they have, but I don't remember last.
We have to check that. But I'm gonna go with my heart. I think they're gonna finish last. So yeah.
Don't worry, guys. In the next episode, when we cover back about SPL, we're gonna do a season review, and hopefully we can cover across other Euros and football that's going on around the world. So with that being said, thank you guys again so much, and we'll see you guys next time.